Hello and welcome back to my channel. So recently I have been uploading my create your own waifu videos and they have not been getting the responses that I kind of hoped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making some other videos to go alongside them. So some of you may remember this scene, or at least the Lightroom tutorial that I made. That one did fairly well, so I'm going to delete all the lights off this. And I'm going to show you how to make a lighting rig. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add in a sun lamp. We're going to bring this one up to about here. And then I'm going to add in a empty. So for that we just want empty, and I'm going to go for plane axis. I'm going to bring it up. Then I'm going to select the light here, and I'm going to go to the objects constraints, click on this, and I'm going to put track 2. I'm going to select the target as the empty, and it will instantly start to point at the empty. And no matter where I move it, it will point there. So, if I went into render mode now, and looked at our screen view here, you'll notice that it points at it, and we have some moderate control. Brilliant. Next up, I am going to bring in our area lamp. I'm going to bring this up, scale it up. I'm going to put it around about here. So I want this one to be our side-on view light. It's going to be a larger light. I don't actually need to change that because I want to go track 2, empty, and this will also point towards a light. Now, I am actually going to add another constraint on this light, and I'm going to not add a constraint, I'm going to parent it onto this one, which should mean that if I rotate this, it actually rotates the whole thing around, staying pointing on it, but doesn't rotate the other one. This allows us to have some more control. The sun, it will always point at that spot, but we can actually rotate and move where the sun is and the direction that the sun is pointing, without moving our additional lights. Perfect. So this light I then want to put up to about 200 watts. And I am already on cycles because it was from my previous scene. But it will allow me that if I wanted to, I can move the lights around like so. I should be able to also scale and scale down. Brilliant. If I wanted to, I could go into the object constraints and I could copy the scale of the empty, which will allow me to scale it up and down. If I were to remove the this now, I can still rotate only the sun, but allow me to scale just the empty. And you'll notice that I can't scale it anywhere else. I might be able to size it up here. Yes, so I do want to set the base up to about 8. And now I'll scale it up and down depending on the scale. We'll also scale the sun, but it won't actually make any difference on the sun. The sun's scale makes no difference, really. Yes, you'll notice it doesn't even have a scale option. So, next up, I'm going to want a spotlight. Now I'm going to actually put the spotlight up high on this side, so fairly up. So slightly off center, but relatively high. And I'm going to, again, track 2, are empty. And I don't want this one to change scale, I just want this one to shine. So I'm going to bring it down a little. And I'm just going to check the lighting on this one. So I want it nice and up. So I should be able to put it fairly high if I wanted to, but I don't want it that high. I'm going to bring it down a little. Back onto front view. You'll notice that, yes, it really will track to that spot. And bring it back. So I don't want it directly above the character, I want it just slightly off. Perfect. Next up I want another one of these. You'll notice that automatically it's already tracked because I duplicated it. And I'm going to bring it in. Just bring it around a little. Already tracked on, which is perfect. I'm going to put a little slight tint on this. I'm going to put a little tint on this one as well. You don't want to tint everything too strong. I've tinted this one way too strong. You're just trying to get some nice shadows in, so one side's darker than the other. And all I need to do if I want to make adjustments is I can just rotate it around and do whatever I like with it. And I can also size it up and down for how big of the thing should be. You don't have to worry about it scaling the sun lamp. If you wanted to, you don't even have to have the sun lamp, just to prove my point. Where's our empty? Oh, did I accidentally delete the empty? Where is our sun lamp? There it is. Ah, there you go. It's in there, look. If I delete our sun lamp quick. I notice that the lighting still works. It just, you don't get the strong shadow. Also, rotating this should no longer make a difference. It doesn't, but sizing it up and down will. You'll notice the shadow, although it's slightly off of where we're rendering, is changing here. If I went up massive, almost gone. So I do want a slight shadow, and I want this one to be a little bit weaker. So I'm going to scale this one down to about 100. So I don't want that to be as strong. Perfect. So next step, and what I'm actually going to do is if I go into up here and I can go new collection, add the spotlight, and I can add the empty, the area, the other area, and it makes it a lot easier for selecting the empty. I'm going to name this a dot controller. The reason for the AA means it'll be above all area lights and be the easiest to select. Perfect. Next up, I'm going to add another area light, this time behind. I don't actually need to point it again. About there. And again, I am actually going to parent this to this AA controller. Oh, I want to first move it down into the collection, parent it to the AA controller. It's the object. And again, I can scale that for this one, but it's not currently tracked, so it's not staying on track. So what I want to do here is I need to go to Object Constraints, Track to AA controller. Done. Next thing, I want to actually limit the distance to this AA controller as well. So this will actually prevent it that when I scale it up, it should, if I can select it, I select like this, prevent it from going too far away. Yeah, so it's got a maximum distance, so it doesn't have a minimum. I'm going to want to do this for all of them. So limit distance to the AA controller, and this one to limit distance to the AA controller. Boom. And this one I don't want to actually move. So if I now select these two and parent that to the AA controller, this one also should be parented to it already. Did I accidentally parent the wrong thing here? I did. So I'll do that quickly. Okay. Now take this area, parent it to AA controller. There we go. Now if I select this and scale it up, they shouldn't move further away. They can move closer. I could stop that if I wanted to. By going... I should be able to go limit distance again, or is it... Yeah, I believe it would be limit distance again, and then outside to AA controller. And that should mean now... Yeah, so that's set A. so it prevents it getting any closer or further away. But it has to do that with all of these. So limit distance, select the AA controller, outside, this one, limit distance, AA controller, outside. Now it's getting up and down. They shouldn't get any closer or further away. It just gives me control over that. And I can actually still rotate it. But it does rotate on every axis. But if I go up here and lock the X and the Y, now it'll only rotate on the Z. So I can now rotate it, because I don't really want it dropping down. So I can now, I'm going to quickly hop into Eevee, just for the ease of showing this. And as I rotate it, it'll only rotate it. It's kind of awkward to rotate on a fixed axis, but I can actually just go like this. That'll be easier. You can rotate it all you want, and it'll automatically rotate your whole Lightroom with it to get whatever look that you want. Obviously this will work in cycles. It's just a little bit harder to show it in cycles, because obviously it does this. But it will give you lots of control over your rig, and you can obviously add to this or remove from this as much as you'd like. So if I now go back onto the AA controller, set this back to 0, so I have everything back where it should be. I want this to be a backlight, so I'm actually going to bring this down a little. And let's put the power up a bit and make it quite blue. It's acting like a rim light is the idea. I think I want it a little, actually I want it a little larger, I think. I don't want it to clip through anything, but a little larger. And then, how up do I want it? There we go, so we've got just some blue outline, so quite strong apparently. And if we go on to this one also probably needs to go up to about 400. Which would mean this one probably needs to go about 200. And I'm going to want this one to be a nice warm colour. And I want this one to be a darker version of the warm colour. But not that badly. And this one's way too orange. So you have to be very careful with the way that you change these. And what have I got on here? I've got a little subsurface, which I've actually worked out to work much better, going more like this. There we go. And I can make some more further edits on this with the subsurface down, to get a sort of skin colour. There we go. And that is how you can make a riggable and working Lightroom, which is you can change and edit depending on what scene you're in. And we'll throw in a quick render for the finished project, which I'll display at the end. It should be up there now. And I hope you have a nice evening, and please like and subscribe. I'm sorry about the 3D waifu stuff that none of you seem to like. I will finish that, but I'll try to make some extra stuff at the same time, just so that everyone can get some useful content as well as stuff that you might not personally want to see. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a nice evening.